My source tonight is the last voice you heard there. Republican Congressman Scott Perry met with President Trump today, and he joins me now. And it's great to have you here, sir. I know these changes are just coming out moments ago. Are you happy with what you see in these changes?
Well, Kaitlan, thanks for having me on. And of course, I never said I was a no, but I said I had concerns. And now that we have the text, now we're going to go through it, and we are going through it. And of course, people often say things in Washington, D.C., but it's what's written on the paper, what you're actually going to vote on, that's really important. And I'm a guy who likes to read the bills. I'm not one of those people that says, I'm going to vote for it to find out what's in it. So we have to make sure that they have stuck to their word on certain provisions that we have asked for that are critical for all of us for passage of this or for affirmative votes.
But you're not a yes yet.
Like I said, I have concerns. I want to see what they did with the things that they talked about, but how they came out in the language. I said the devil's in the details, and the details are very, very important. Like you said, we just got the bill within the last 30 minutes, so we have to comb through it now.
Part of that includes speeding up work requirements for Medicaid. Instead of 2029, it's now going to be to the end of 2026 from what I'm looking at here. And tightens the definition of a, quote, qualified alien who is eligible for the program. Is that something that you wanted to see in these changes?
Well, we do want to see some tightening up of Medicaid. Unfortunately, the vulnerable population in Pennsylvania and across the country is waiting in line while people that really don't qualify for Medicaid as we know it are actually taking up the subsidies. They get 7 times the amount of a subsidy from the federal government than people that traditionally qualified. That's unfair, and so we're trying to work those details out, and that's part of that.
What happened inside the White House meeting today? How would you describe how that went?
Well, I'm careful to characterize our conversations with the president because we want to be able to have those conversations in confidence. But I would say it was productive. We got a lot of discussions about the concerns that we have and about how to get a good product and what he can do to help to get that good product. Of course, there are some great things in the bill, but this is a day where we looked at a bond sale where the basis went up 100 points. And, that's a concern for many of us as we don't want to see these continued debts and deficits. And we need to make sure that we're turning the trajectory of spending in Washington, D.C. on the right course of correction. And that's part of this discussion as well.
Did the president offer to sign executive orders on cuts or Medicaid or anything like that to get you to vote yes on this?
Well, like I said, I don't want to particularly characterize the confidence of the conversation, but what I can tell you is the president did agree to work as the executive branch with the legislative branch to address our concerns across the board, from the things like the Inflation Reduction Act, which is so-called, which is essentially handouts to wind and solar billionaires and things like that, and to also bend the cost and the spending curve down. So we're working on a collaborative effort where we can, and I think I would characterize the tenor of the conversation that way.
But you won't say if he promised to sign executive orders?
No, I won't talk about anything the president or anybody else promised.
Okay, some people may hear that and say it sounds like a yes, but I'll let your comment stand. Speaker Johnson wants this done by this weekend, by Memorial Day. I know you've argued that's not a real deadline in your view. Do you expect to vote on this tonight still?
I don't know if it's going to come tonight. Like I said, we just got the language, and people like me will be upset with our leadership if we don't get a chance to really go through it and read the whole thing. And so I think that's important for all members. I've often said, and I will say again, and I'll say it right here, and I would say to the speaker as well, it's more important to get it correct than to get it fast. We need to get it right as opposed to fast. So if we have to wait a few hours or a few days to get it right, that's really important because this is going to be enduring. We have to get it through the Senate, and we want to make sure we get the best product that we can.
Okay. Well, Manu Raju will probably be following you around with a camera until you say you're a yes or no. Congressman Scott Perry, thank you for joining us on the Breaking News tonight.
Well, thank you. God bless you.